Hello everyone, this is DavidViadel23 and welcome to the Mandrago's Cave. Today we are gonna be learning how to do gradients, okay? This is a video, part of a bigger collection of videos I have that I'm gonna put here about learning how to draw for beginners. Very, very easy. You only need pencil, paper, and nothing else, you know, just normal stuff that you have around home, you know, rubber, a little bit of, you know, a sharpener, a pen. Basic stuff, okay? These videos are aimed for anyone, doesn't matter the age, very young, older generation that wants to learn how to draw. For all of those who thought, oh, I have no idea how to draw, how can I do this, how can I do that? So here you can learn how to draw faces, how to draw bodies, how now to understand gradients, okay? So we have this space more or less to work today, okay? Normally, you see me working with this standard tradition HB. HB is in the middle of the spectrum. If we want to go more towards H, it is gonna be something more fine, something more detailed, okay, with the tip of our pencils. If we wanna go more towards the B, it's gonna be a little bit more pastel, a softer tip, where we can blend colors, specifically for now. Because this is HB in the middle, I'm gonna be very obvious and start something new with these pencils that I just got, okay? I got as a present, Drawlish. I never tried these pencils before, but as you can see, we have different numbers here. B is softer, 2B is even softer, 8B is even softer, and then towards the H is a little bit more hard tip, okay? So let's see what we have here, and let me explain you. So we have all of these colors here. All of the pencils should be having the number here, you see, 4H, 2H, B, HB. HB, as you can see, this one is the same that we have here. All the brands will have the same numbers, okay? All of the brands should have the same numbers. For now, I'm gonna go more towards the B. I think it makes sense if we try with B plain, so you understand, we don't go more into other numbers, okay? So, easy, we are gonna make a rectangle here, doesn't need to be big, it's gonna be like this, okay? If you wanna do it with a ruler, if you wanna do it just like this, it can be like this. So, a gradient, to start a gradient, you will start doing like this without pressing, okay? Without pressing, you can do it this way. Maybe you should do it this way better to do more standard. Obviously, these videos are, in theory, shorter than if you would be in an art lesson in real life, face to face. This is something for you to understand the concept. Then it's up to you to practice, to take a paper, or if you want to draw at the same time that we are drawing here, you can. So you understand how this exercise works, okay? As you can see here, we have one level of pencil. Let's say that to create a gradient, I need to do another level. So I will start again at the same, with the same pressure that I'm doing. I will start doing another line on top and say, when I'm about, I don't know, 80%, 90%, I'm gonna stop. So you can clearly see how, because I done 2 rounds of without pressing, doing like this, sketching, we have 2 different levels, okay? Obviously, when you are doing something, a project that is hyper-realistic, for example, you are painting, drawing, sketching, light or shadows, you know, like we learned in the last session here, that I'm gonna put that video here, as well in a very easy concept. This is how you would do. So if you want more detail, you need to do more layers and start to be more delicate when you are adding another level, another layer, okay? If you would be drawing in digital because you are a fan of computers, you like Photoshop, Procreate and everything, there are obviously tools, automated tools, that they are gonna give you this result as well, but you can use it old school. You can paint with one color, paint on top, and see how the layers with the opacity behave, okay? If in Photoshop you select one layer of color, or black here in pencil, that we are talking about pencil now, you will see how if you change the opacity, it's going to give you this effect. It's going to give you from darker to more light, and from light from more darker, okay? So again, because my pencil is B, is softer, is giving me more grain on the paper. So when I am painting, you see how I'm painting here, you see how the different levels that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 so far, you see, we have 1, we have 2, 3, 4. Why not to make it equal add another one, okay? Trying to keep the same pressure on the paper, it will give you different results, okay? We have a 5th level here. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels in the same line using the same pencil, that in this case is a B, okay? B category. Just so you know the difference between the age, I'm gonna try to find a age, maybe a quite obvious age. Did we have 4H? Yes, so this was B, okay? This was made with B. And now I'm gonna do the same, I'm gonna show you the same, but with this, that is actually 4H. It is actually quite hard tip. Just by drawing my rectangle, my base rectangle for what is gonna be my canvas, let's say here, I can feel already the resistance of the paper on the tip. As well, if you check close, this is more pale gray, the other one is more dark gray, okay, if you want to be accurate, okay, because there is more, let's say, concept or that this material is gonna melt on the paper, basically, okay? So, let's do the same. I'm gonna keep using my technique of going in this position, because we done the one up there in the same way. But as you can see, just doing the same exercise, the same force, this is a little bit more thin on the paper. I see less material, less dust from my pencil staying here, okay? So, let's gonna do the same again, let's do the same, let's do another round where we do the same strength, okay? Up to the level of our number 2 that we've done up here. 1 and 2, you see, 1 and 2. Even me writing the numbers, you can see how the difference between the thickness of the numbers is defining what type of pencil. So, if you wanna do finer details, let's say that you are drawing a tiger, for example, and your tiger is hyper-realistic or semi-realistic, you will do some parts of the tiger to create shadows and lights with something more towards the B. And then, if you want to do hair, and you want to start defining all the hair or some areas with specific hair, or the whiskers, for example, you will go probably and use something more like H, because it gives you more detail. The line is gonna be cleaner, more defined, okay? This exercise, you can use it everywhere. If you are a fan of manga, comics for example, Japanese manga, you will see as well that gradients are used all the time to define a lot of areas in mangas, in comics, okay? So you can see how this works in a scenario where we have an environment as well, that maybe it is a city with some lights and some shadows, maybe the dawn is approaching and the sun is coming out, and you see how is eating the darkness in some areas, and it is very defined, okay? So depending on how sharp do you want to do that, you can use different types of pencils, okay? Obviously, as I shown you before, if you want to be more hyper-realistic, more detail, there is 6B, there is the B that we use for there, the HB, There is this another one, it is 4B. So there are different levels of pencil, okay, with different numbers that are gonna give you a different result. That's why we have so many, okay? If you decide to start studying something like art, let's say fine art, and you end up having live drawing, for example, you are gonna end up having a model, for example, a person, and that is gonna be modeling for you in the session, and you're gonna have different types of pencils or different types of materials, because obviously you can try this with different materials, like charcoal, for example, as well. I used to draw a lot with charcoal when I started studying fine arts, because it was easier for the hand. You grab the pencil, in this case the piece of charcoal, maybe like this, and you are painting or drawing or sketching in a semi-vertical stance instead of here that I'm drawing flat basically. And with this you are able to see the subject, to see the person that you are trying to draw, okay, and the paper very easily, okay, so you don't have to be looking at the sketchbook and then looking at the person and everything. So for that you may need a easel, some sort of easel that can hold your paper, hold your sketchbook, and where you can see better, you can work better, okay. Me, I'm always more towards drawing in a flat surface, in horizontal here, like now, okay, I'm on a table. I have a drawing table as well there that has a little bit of inclination, and you can go up or down. I use it, but I end up always going more towards the standard table. You need to find your way when drawing, okay? So as you can see, we tried with B, we tried with 4H, okay? If instead of 4H we would have tried H directly, the same level like B, but in the other side of the spectrum, this difference would have been a little bit less, a little bit more together. But I picked 4H because you can see an obvious difference, that pressing the same, doing the same, you see how it changes our gradient, okay? For the sake of showing you that it is not only about pencils and black and white, and this is, you know, gradients is not only a concept for normal traditional pencil, we should try a color, okay? Well, I was trying to find a color in my selection of pencils, and I think this one could work very nice. Derwent Chroma Flow, this is Brilliant Blue 1260, okay? In the Derwent sets, you have many blues, many greens, many reds, many oranges, okay? Different types of color, but that doesn't matter right now, okay? I just picked one of the blues. I picked Derwent because Derwent, it is more soft, like towards the B. If I would have picked Standler, for example, Standler is a little bit harder, more towards the H. Alpino is more towards the H, for example, okay? Depending on one brand or another, they will have different sets for different type of work, or for different type of projects, okay? So, as you can see, here, I'm gonna do again another rectangle, okay? And in this case, we are doing the same exercise, but with blue, okay? Without pressing, again, without pressing, we will paint the whole rectangle, okay? One go, and we have the first tone in our gradient. And now, with the same pressure, we are gonna be doing another pass, okay? As you can see, you can clearly see there is another level of blue. Let's stop here, where the number 2 is there above. Number 2, okay? Another one to create a third pass, okay? See the texture that the pencil is leaving behind, okay? See the texture. Because this, if, for example, I had a blender that is basically like a succession of papers rolled like a pencil, okay, and is a little bit soft, and because of this is soft, that type of pencil is soft, you can work on the surface and this is gonna blend, okay. These softer colors like Derwent, for example, or as well like Faber-Castell, for example, if you want to mix colors, they work very nice as well. So I will suggest that if for whatever reason you end up having different type of brands, color pencils at home, try how they work. See which ones are better for the way that you work, for the way that you draw, okay? This is our number 4 now. We're doing more here. Now, because this is softer, I want to press a little bit more at the end here to have more tones, okay? We're gonna do an extra tone here, 5, okay? And then a tiny bit extra, and you see as I press, you see texture, a little bit of texture here. You see that it's almost like pastel. If you have pastel at home, when, let's say, if you like to draw, maybe at some point you received as a present in a birthday or Christmas a set of colors, and there are standard pencils, standard pens, and there are these weird looking colors that maybe you never used before, or maybe you used only for one exercise in art class when you were, I don't know, 6 or 7. Those, most of the time, are pastel, okay? And pastel are more like this. Why don't you use it much at home? Because they are a little bit more messy, they are more soft, and they can go everywhere. And that's probably because, you know, the parents at home said, oh, let's maybe paint your things with normal pencils, not with that one, not with the other ones, because they are more contained, so you don't go painting everywhere. So with this one you see how now almost we don't have any kind of resistance of paper here, we don't have any kind of grain on the paper, but in number 3, in number 2, in number 1 you do have, okay? So this is number 6, okay? As well as I've been working with the pencil, this, the tip, is being eaten by the paper quicker, okay? Quicker. So you need to sharpen it and do the tones however you want. I would advise any kind of project that you do, if you have colors that are darker, are more worked like this, you need more passes to achieve that tone that you want, do not start with this tone. Always start with these tones. Do 1 pass, do 2 passes, do 3 passes. That's why it takes so long to create a nice drawing, because you need time, okay? Like everything, you want to learn a language, you need time. You want to learn how to drive your motorbike, your car, you need time. You want to learn how to ride a horse, you need time. You want to learn how to cook, you need time, okay? For this is the same. Or play an instrument, for example. All of those activities that a lot of people is doing parallel with school, you need to understand that it's time consuming, okay? So if we were to take any other color, any other brand, you will have a similar result to this, and you can try it at home if you have different brands, okay? Keep in mind, this is more towards B, I would say, okay? Even, I would say this is something around a 4B or a 6B, okay? So, if at home you have a set of pencils, and you want to see what type they are, and they are not saying anything there, just do one of these. If it is more textury, that you see the texture, probably is more towards a B number. If it is more pale, it is more kind of faint, it's gonna be a more line. You see more lines. Here is more like spots, okay? And here is more like lines. That's more towards H, okay? I think this is a very, very easy exercise that you can do at home. You don't need to buy any extra material. I'm sure around the house you have some normal pencils. Doesn't matter if the exercise is tried with a Standler HB, you will have a gradient anyway. If it is HB, if it is B, if it is H, if it is 4H, doesn't matter, okay? There are many numbers in these pencils. If you have art store, you know, that they sell some supplies. Have a look. When you are having a walk, have a look, check the pencils, have a look, and see all these numbers. So at least now that you are starting your art journey, you know more or less what type of pencil you may need for different types of projects, okay? If you want to work more in comics that are, you know, linear, with textures, with patterns. Another day we will do patterns instead of gradients. But if you want to do that type, maybe go more towards H, because it's going to give you cleaner lines that later, when you are working with the pens, you can do the line on top with the pen and clean it up. And with the pen, with the rubber later, you know, erase what you don't want. The B, or if you go too hard in a B, and you erase, it's gonna leave a little bit of mark on the paper. Okay? So it is an advice that you practice or you go more from softer to harder when doing gradients. Okay? As I said in my previous video, talking about the lights and the shadows when we were doing this sphere, okay? To simulate this 3D effect, always try to see where the light is coming in your character, and you can apply to any kind of object. It can be a ball, it can be a face of a character, it can be a house, it can be a horse, it can be a weapon like a sword, for example, okay? Depending on the style that you are doing. If it is more comic, maybe you are not using that many shadows, for example. Something like Lord Olympus, the webtoon that won a couple of Eisner prizes a couple of years ago. Less lights, more texture work, much more texture work, okay? And this is a digital project. But if you want to do something realistic, draw a tiger, a lion, a monkey, a human face, you will have to go more towards something softer like a bee. So you can seamless do this transition between colors to create this effect of light and shadows, okay? Without having a very, very remarked line in between, okay? Because when you are looking in real life some references, let's say you have figurines at home and you're looking at your figurines, or you're walking around, normally we don't see a clean line between the shadow and the light. We see this kind of transition that is a gradient, basically. This is a quick and easy way for you to learn this. When you are out today, tomorrow, this weekend, observe the things around you, how the light is behaving. If you see the difference between where we have more shadow or we have less shadow, okay? And the shadow is becoming then light, okay? Observe those things because it is very easy to spot out there. You can see it in houses, in cars, in objects, in any kind of surface. You can see this as well. We will talk another day about it. Depending on the material, you will see the light and the shadows and the gradients and the textures in a different way. It's not the same if you see light hitting on a metal of a car, let's say, or if the same light is hitting a tree, okay? Because the textures are different, the reflections are working here as well, are in this game of art, and we have different looks, okay? Depending on what you want to do, you need to work towards one type of pencil, another type of pencil, one material, one other material. Okay, I think for today we are done. Okay, I'm gonna sign here at the bottom. This is DavidViadel23, DavidViadel23. You can say it as you want, and this is the Mandragoscape. I hope you liked the video. I hope it was useful for you. Feel free to ask any kind of questions. I studied art. I've been teaching art for many years at many levels, at university level as well. So if you have any kind of question, just ask in the comments. Understand that this video is more for beginners, okay? And let's open conversation in the show more section, okay? Thank you very much and see you in the next video. Bye!